Inspired Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers. John Nolan here. How's it going? This is going to be a quick one. Just wanted to come on here, say we're healthy, we're wealthy, we're whole, we're free, and share a little bit of, I call it the madness repellent. How can you stay, not just stay calm in the face of some of the things, I'm going to mention this in a second, what I'm talking about, but more importantly, we're in days of quite a lot of wickedness, right? And in that, it gets crazier and crazier every day. And the funny thing is that it's so blatantly ludicrous that no one in their right mind could believe anyways that people really take it seriously. I'm receiving interesting emails and reports and updates, and I just received an update earlier that they've come up with over 100 genders for people to choose from. And of course it's complete, it's madness, right? There's two genders, right? There's men and there's women. That's it. That's basic biology. But of course, in this world that we live in, anything goes, right? And we know where it's supposed to lead. But what I wanted to say is, and this is more important, how do we deal with that in the moment when we're confronted? Because it's maddening, it gets crazy. And of course there's an aspect to it where if you have younger children that are still in school and stuff like that, well, there's a protection factor. Every sane parent will protect their children from this madness. It has nothing to do with acceptance. This is just madness and craziness. However, my real madness repellent is realizing the big agenda behind it, realizing that the person who's standing in front of me, who's identifying as whatever, I don't have to engage in that. I don't have to react to that person. I don't have to get angry about it, because first of all, it's their freedom. It's their freedom to be and choose to be whoever they want to be. But second of all, they are, in the largest sense, they're a victim of this as well. They're a victim of this agenda, right? They're a victim of this because there are people very calculated in driving this, and they're driving it hardcore, and they are brainwashing and mind controlling masses, literally, through the education system, through entertainment, through social media, through frequency. It's literal mind control that's happening. And so I just wanted to say that the madness repellent is stay here, stay in your heart, because we don't really accomplish anything by getting agitated and angry at the people. And they're not the ones who are driving the show anyway. They're just the ones experiencing the mind control induced mental sickness. And as such, we don't help by getting angry and aggressive. And that's really important, but also it gives us peace and calmness. It's kind of like, when you are on this path through a maze, and you kind of have a good feeling of where to go, but there's little seduction corners. There's a light flashing there, and there's something really attractive there, and there's a lollipop popping up. You just have to resist the seduction signals and keep walking. It's kind of like, the old saying, when you're going through hell, just keep walking until you're out of there. And we're going through a wickedness period that's intensifying, and it's exponential, because once you lose a certain moral foundation, it's just free fall. And that's what we see a lot of times. And we're in a beautiful part of Tennessee here where that is not really as expressed, but there's other parts of the world and parts that we travel to that are just, especially when you go into the big cities, there's not a lot of sanity left. But again, it's here, it's within, it's with you, and we choose. And that's the maturity, and that's being an adult, and that means also being spiritually mature. We choose how we react to things, and that's really, really important. We choose whether we become like that which we do not want, or whether we remain in our true power, connected to God, our Creator, the Almighty, really, and see this through. And last but not least, I want to give you an analogy that comes from the game of football. and I've seen two kinds of coaches and hence two kinds of teams. And I'm not an expert by any means. I'm just observing. And my favorite kind of football is high school football, Friday Night Lights. I love that. So what I've seen is there are teams led by coaches that are extremely focused on the opponent. But what is the sole purpose of the game, other than it being fun, is to get the ball into the end zone. That is the objective of the game. Get the ball into the end zone. In that objective, you strategize so you get the ball there in the quickest, most efficient way. Now, there's going to be an opponent that you have to deal with, but your eye is on the ball in the end zone. That's where it needs to go. If you focus on your opponent, you lose sight of the end zone. You lose sight of what it is that you are there for. And the coaches that focus on the actual objective of the game more versus hitting the opponent harder have always had more success, at least from my amateur observation. And in spiritual warfare, it's very much the same. Or in this spiritual battle that we're in. If we focus on hurting, and I'm speaking in analogies here, hurting the enemy, hurting the darkness, then we are not really looking at the end zone, which is a new paradigm, which is a new kind of living together. And that's where we should be, right? We should be in this new paradigm, and that's what we should really work towards. If there are obstacles and enemies, opponents that are attacking us on our way, well, we'll deal with that, right? I mean, just like a football team, right? It deals with them. It's not that they ignore that. They deal with them. But the sole objective is not to kill the enemy here. It's to create this new beautiful paradigm that we were actually put here for. And so those are two things that I wanted to share today. Very quickly, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your beautiful comments. Thank you for your likes and your shares, and for supporting us in the way you do, and for being part of this beautiful tribe. Excuse me. Being part of this beautiful tribe. You're loved and appreciated. All right. We'll talk to you later. Everything's a little out of schedule right now because there's so much going on, but it's good stuff. Good things happening behind the scenes, and hopefully things that we can share soon. All right. Be abundantly blessed. Talk to you soon.